around the edges of it, you will feel little muscles, some of them tighter than others, coming off of it, like spokes on a wheel. And so you actually want to feel, so as I go around, I'm going to feel spoke, depression, and when I feel the real tighter little ropey parts spiraling out, or like sun rays or sunbursts, those are where I want to focus my attention. And anytime there's a spot that feels particularly tense, I could slow down, and some spots you're going to hold as long as a couple minutes, and then when you think you're at a depth that might be suiting the client, you can check in. So on a pressure of 1 to 10, if 7's perfect, where are we at?
7. Good.
Remember, when you're checking in on pressure, you want to actually get to some kind of a pressure you think might be right that is a relatively stable pressure. It's tough to check in with clients when you're like doing something like this, because your pressure is changing so much that it's hard for them to give you useful feedback. But when you kind of found a good spot and you want to really work it out well, you can sink in there. Go ahead and take some nice deep breaths into my hands, Christy. Fantastic. And so you can work all the way around the greater trochanter like that. You can also move their leg to assist you in this work. So, Christy, is it okay if I bend your knee and lift your foot?
Sure.
So, around the greater trochanter, you can use a combination of fingers, soft fist, elbow, and we're going to medially and laterally rotate, or internally and externally rotate her hip by using her foot as a lever. So as I move her foot medially, her hip is rotating laterally or externally, and as I move her foot laterally, her hip is rotating medially. As I do this, it's going to move those muscles and that greater trochanter. So as you do this movement, you want to be very sensitive to what you're feeling under your hands, because some of the movements are going to make those muscles get tighter and jump out under your fingers and even the bony landmarks, and others are going to kind of make them depress. So if you were just pressing, like let's say at a 7 really hard, and you didn't alter your pressure, as you did this kind of a movement, some of it would be too intense and some of it would be too light. So as you're moving her foot like a handle, you're changing the pressure of what's going on with your hands. Sometimes a straight back and forth movement is best, and sometimes a little bit more of an organic circular movement can be nice. If you find a tight spot, sometimes it could be nice to hold that longer. If people have knee issues, I'm going to check in with them, make sure you're not twerking their knees funny. And you can kind of vary the speed at which you work through these areas. This is basically a pin and stretch. So you're engaging the muscle and then moving them. Another highlight is to make sure you get all the way around the greater trochanter and not just the sides of it. So now I'm coming around the inferior aspect of it. All the way around. A lot of times people will miss more of the superior and more of the anterior. Oh, this seems like there's some good things here. How's that pressure?
It's good. It does. Must
All right, I think that's a good pause spot.